welcome to WatchMojoUK, and today we're counting down our picks for the House of the Dragon characters who sound nothing like the actors who play them.
You must have your reasoning in plain language.
Before we begin, we publish new content every day, so be sure to subscribe to our channel and ring the bell to get notified about our latest videos.
Back in the day, we tackled this same subject with Game of Thrones, which even had an American in one of the starring roles. But this time around things are a little bit different, with a far more British cast than its predecessor, somehow. Though that's not to say there aren't a few that stand out a lot when you listen to them side by side. They are quite excellent at masking it, so here goes. Rhys Ifans.
Daughter, listen to me. We will mourn as we must, but some good may yet come of this.
We open with Sir Otto Hiow, who has served as the Hand of Two Kings. His commanding voice is unmistakable, powerful, harsh, but also very regal sounding.
They are fathers and brothers and sons, and their wives and children gather now at our gates to weep and curse your name.
It's definitely more on the English side, being somewhat reminiscent of Charles Dance's when he played Tywin Lannister. Perhaps the safest way to describe it would be rather Shakespearean.
When the king speaks, your grace, all hear it.
Some Harry Potter fans may assume that he's Irish because of how he sounded as Luna's father, Xenophilius Lovegood. However, when you take a glance at his name, you can easily assume where he's actually from: Wales.
This morning I wanted to wear a wig because it means you get to spend more time in makeup, you know, chatting and...
The Cymru native is from the south, so he has a very strong Welsh accent when he's not portraying the Hightower patriarch.
You know, off the coast of Britain, off these ships, which kind of gives it a romance as well. Yeah.
Though you might already know about his real voice if you ever saw him in Notting Hill back in the day.
That's right. I am at last going out on a date with the great Janine, and I just want to be sure I've picked the right t-shirt.
Theo Nate.
I've come to meet my fate and you make a jape of it.
Leonor Valerian shares a noble voice very similar to the rest of his family. His actor, John McMillan, sounds rather similar to that character, so you may be surprised to see the name mentioned here. However, his younger version, seen earlier in the series, was played by someone who sounds dramatically different when you hear him in interviews.
And, well, the thing was, the first actual shooting day, I'd seen, like, the set and stuff before that. And I've met a few people. That's right, the adolescent version of Leonor was played by a Scouser. I remember him saying to me before we'd done like the second or third take, he was like, Leonor loves war, this is what he's about. So like when you're up there and you're riding around, just enjoy it.
His days at the Liverpool Institute for Performing Arts certainly paid off, as we never could have imagined he was hiding that thick accent.
You probably haven't even got to say sorry to him, alright? You could literally bounce out of here whenever you want, man. That's like a winning lottery ticket.
Sonoya Miso.
Not everyone found the jest funny. Now it seems he's done it again, made a promise and then slipped away.
This information brokering lady who works in the shadows has a very distinct and mysterious accent, which is a little hard to pinpoint. It's a bit reminiscent of Shay from the original Game of Thrones, whose actress, Sibel Kekili, is German. Both characters are from Essos, or the East, so you could perhaps assume that this is what the showrunners were going with here.
When your plots ripen and you install your grandson on the throne, remember, it was me who put him there. I could have killed him as easily as a wasp on fruit.
However, the actress for Massaria, Sonoya Miso, is actually British-Japanese, so unsurprisingly, she sounds completely different in real life.
Because my look isn't defined by a particular place or country.
Though she was born in Tokyo, her accent is very English, as that's where she was raised.
It is, I guess, like everywhere else, very different to what it's usually like. The devastation, I think, has been
bit less severe than a lot of other places.
You certainly don't need a network of spies like the White Worm has to recognize how different she sounds out of character.
I remember just feeling completely like, oh my god, I'm in Game of Thrones.
Ewan Mitchell and Tom Glen Carney. They're a couple of naughty little blighters, those Targaryen boys, but their voices certainly carry an air of sophistication. But those posh accents are just a put-on. In the show, King Aegon sounds very aristocratic, perhaps from the south of England, and a bit nasally.
You wouldn't dare.
I have dared. And I find it stimulating.
Arguably quite similar to Matt Smith's voice. His actor, Tom Glen Carney, is actually from up north in Salford, part of the Greater Manchester area.
I'm Tom Glen Carney and I play Aegon Targaryen.
As such, he's got much more of a Manc accent.
A way of telling someone to go away or leave can be used to dismiss someone.
Wow.
So, in context, renounce the false king. False king.
Aegon's brother, Aemond, is a man of much fewer words, so you'd be forgiven for not catching the difference between him and his real-life counterpart, Ewan Mitchell.
Wait! My Lord Strong.
Mitchell similarly is from up north, being from Derby.
I used to go to this pub after class and there was this arcade machine. It was Mortal Kombat 2 and I used to kick ass as Sub-Zero.
You can definitely hear the difference if you listen closely.
Pretty much how I felt landing House of the Dragon. So chuffed, man.
Did you?
Delighted,
Chuffed a bit.
Chuffed a bit.
Graham McTavish.
I recognise no authority but the king's. And until there is one, I have no place here.
With a name like McTavish, you'd instantly assume that Graham is Scottish, and you'd be right. He sounds Scottish in Outlander, he even sounds Scottish when he plays the noble knight Sir Harold Westerling in House of the Dragon. Everything adds up, right? Wrong. In interviews, McTavish sounds far more English.
But the whole fandom thing, I love it. I really do. I love the fact that these shows, these stories are already beloved.
Could this be because of his Shakespearean acting work? Or perhaps it's because he's lived in many different countries over the years, including Canada and New Zealand.
Mary B.
Yes.
Did either of you pick up any cool or unique souvenirs during your Clanlands adventures in New Zealand and Scotland? A stone, sea glass, or a shark tooth, maybe?
It's hard to pinpoint the reason, but McTavish can effortlessly slip back into his native accent whenever the need arises. And he's always an absolute badass.
I'm going to deliver some of your standard corporate jargon to prove that everything sounds sexier with a Scottish accent. I want you to think outside the box.
Ryan Core.
You forget yourself, Strong. That is the prince.
This is what you teach, Cole. Cruelty to the weaker opponent.
He certainly wasn't around very long, but Sir Harwin Strong won over a lot of the ladies watching before he was unceremoniously burnt to a crisp. The father of Rhaenyra's children, Harwin has a typical heroic knight-sounding voice.
Sleep in front of the commander of the city watch. Terrible lack of respect.
A bit posh, gravelly, charming, and more on the English side. And while his actor, Ryan Core, certainly holds some of those traits, his accent is far, far different.
I will say that I love working in Australia because it's sort of a different way of working. We go for 3 to 4 months.
Core is in fact from Australia, and one sound of his real voice gives it away big time.
I hope there's a lot that they don't expect. You know, I think some of the things in this show kind of become as a surprise. Part of the comedy is in the shock and the changing of feel.
You might be surprised to hear that there were quite a few Aussies disguising their accents back in the days of Game of Thrones. And Core does an excellent job continuing that legacy. Olivia Cook.
One more word and I'll have you removed from this chamber and sent to the wall.
One of the two central figures in House of the Dragon, Alicent has the sort of regal-sounding accent you'd expect of the Queen.
We shall hear Princess Rhaenyra's petition along with those of the other claimants on the morrow. I do beg your pardon, my lords.
Surprise, surprise, just like her sons, she's from up north too, and her real voice is just as lovely as the one she uses in the show.
You know, her backstory isn't really
there in the books. A lot of other things were going on. You know, maybe they didn't have time to write about her.
Olivia Cooke was born and raised in Oldham, in the Greater Manchester area.
What is your favourite on-set moment of season 2? This will be new to me because I barely saw you.
Her accent actually went pretty viral on social media, with people loving the way she pronounced stunning.
I was going to say the same thing.
Bagliato. With Prosecco in it.
Oh, stunning.
Yeah.
According to her, she was a little embarrassed after hearing about this, so it seems she tries to conceal it a bit more these days. But it still becomes much more noticeable with certain words like butts.
But I mean, I'm yet to see it. But...
Millie Alcock.
Princess, we're due in Gatebridge Bridge in 3 days' time.
I would happily row myself back to King's Landing if I brought an end to this ridiculous pageant.
The rightful queen, Rhaenyra Targaryen, also shares that very aristocratic-sounding accent.
Who made these claims to your father?
Her Queen's English isn't far off from the person who portrays her, Emma Darcy, which shouldn't be too surprising since they are from the London area. Young Rhaenyra is a different story though. Millie Alcock is actually from Down Under, and that's more than apparent when you hear her speak.
Hi, I'm Millie Alcock. I play young Princess Rhaenyra Targaryen in House of the Dragon, and I'm thrilled to recommend one of my favourite shows on HBO Max, Euphoria.
Being from Sydney, she's as Australian as can be, though you never would have guessed that from the earlier episodes of House of the Dragon.
I freaked out in the backyard, and then just kind of came inside and asked if he had a bottle of wine. He did, so I just got drunk.
Did we miss any actors who sound different from their House of the Dragon characters? Let us know in those comments below. Do you agree with our picks? Check out this other recent clip from WatchMojoUK and be sure to subscribe and ring the bell to be notified about our latest videos.